The Galaxy S8 is one of the best Android phones we've seen this year, not just because of its top-of-the-line specs, but also for its innovative design. The OnePlus 5 on the other hand brings in similar specs, but at a much lower price tag. Let's compare the two and see which is the better option. When it comes to the design, the Galaxy S8 is a hard phone to beat, with an all-glass encasing, curved edges that aren't too excessive, a seamless camera hump, and a perfectly sized body for a one-handed use. This flagship is just beautiful. The OnePlus 5 on the other hand is a decent looking device. It has an aluminum back, good button placement, and curved edges, but it's not very eye-catching. A lot of people even claim that it looks like an iPhone, and to me there's definitely a resemblance. The S8 just looks unique and is much more comfortable in the hand, so if you're wondering which phone has the better design, it's definitely the S8. Something about the glass frame, curvage, and deep black makes the phone look a lot more gorgeous and worth every penny. I also usually rock a skin from Dbrand on both devices so I don't end up damaging the back, or to give both devices a bit more grip as they are a bit slippery. Definitely can't go wrong with a stone design or even their unique black dragon skin. Like I said before, it provides better grip, safety, makes the phone a bit more personal, and doesn't make the overall build any bigger like a case does. I'll drop a link right below that like button. Another area where Samsung never fails is the display. For starters, it's still Super AMOLED Quad HD, but this time around the panel grew vertically. It is now 5.8 inches on the regular variant and has a better screen to body ratio thanks to that thin bezel on the front. The OnePlus 5 has a 5.5 inch 1080p AMOLED display, and even though it's a decent panel, the S8 just crushes it. It has better viewing angles, pixel density, overall size, color accuracy, and is brighter. The OnePlus also has a bug known as the jelly effect, where the screen seems to be stretching away while scrolling within any app. It's not a good look for OnePlus, but I'm sure they have their reasons. The OnePlus 5 just had to cut corners to bring in that low price tag, and the display was one of them. Here's where it starts to get interesting. The fingerprint sensor on the OnePlus 5 is way faster than the one on the S8. Matter of fact, it's the fastest one yet. With just a light tap, the sensor unlocks the phone in 0.2 seconds, and it recognizes extremely well. It's on the front, so you can unlock the phone while it's flat on a table, and it can also act as the home button so you can save some screen space by not using the virtual keys. The S8 has such a tall display that the fingerprint scanner couldn't go on the front, so instead it went on the back, but in a very controversial spot, right next to the camera lens. The placement is a bit weird and it's smaller in size, so it's harder to find. It also doesn't unlock or recognize as fast as the OnePlus. Samsung did provide other unlocking methods such as the iris scanner or facial recognition, so you do have more choices, but even then the OnePlus 5 sensor still unlocks faster than all of those alternative methods. As for the software, the OnePlus 5 is rocking the latest of Oxygen OS on Android 7.1.1, while the Galaxy S8 is running Grace UX on Android 7.0, which is already a step behind on the idea of frequent software updates. Samsung phones have never really had a good reputation on this subject, so if you do get the S8, just don't expect it to be one of the first phones to get Android O or above. Still, the overall interface is cleaner and more material when compared to prior TouchWiz updates. Plus, it has way more features than Oxygen OS, such as customizable virtual navbar with a home button that is pressure sensitive like the iPhone's 3D Touch, Edge screen which allows you to access your favorite apps and certain functions right away, snap window to let you select an area on your display to dock it at the top for a better functionality of split screen, separate app sound to play sound from one app on your Bluetooth speaker while everything else plays through your phone speaker, one-handed mode, and the list goes on and on. But there are some things that most people didn't ask for, such as Bixby, which even has its own hardware button, and with so many bells and whistles, it just starts to get overwhelming and even slows down the phone. That's why I enjoy Oxygen OS over Grace UX. The interface is very similar to that of stock Android. It has no bloatware, very few design tweaks, and some additional features that are useful, but not over the top. You can customize the battery icon, gesture controls, night mode, reading mode, launcher settings, and more. You can think of this as that popular ROM that everyone's flashing, as it's very stable yet includes extra features that just make stock Android better. Plus, with the addition of frequent software updates, this OS is the clear winner here. Both of these flagships have the latest Qualcomm processor here in the US, which is the Snapdragon 835. The Galaxy S8 has 4GB of RAM, with the Plus having the option of up to 6 in some markets, while the OnePlus 5 has 6 to 8GB, which is more than what the Android operating system can even handle. Both of these phones are fast, animations are smooth, application reload time is quick, and navigating throughout either interface is a pleasure. I will say that the OnePlus 5 makes much better use of the Snapdragon chipset, plus with a lighter UI and a smaller screen resolution, this device was a bit quicker in some aspects. On some occasions, the S8 did drop frames, especially when switching to the Bixby panel, so it may not be a huge difference, but the OnePlus does outperform the S8 in heavier tasks. The camera is a big determining factor on which phone you might buy. The Galaxy S8 went with a single 12 megapixel rear camera, and it works great in any lighting situation. Tons of detail, contrast, and a very smooth tone. Plus, with the implementation of OIS, 4K video recordings and low light shooting benefit a lot, resulting in less motion blur. The OnePlus 5 went with a dual camera setup on the back, the main one being a wide angle and the second one being a telephoto. They both have solid results while shooting in daytime. The only problems that I ran into was with the longer focal length while in portrait mode. Portrait images had a lot of artificial processing, and you can definitely tell when looking towards the edges of a subject, it does not look real at all. Low light shots and 4K recordings were also a struggle on the OnePlus 5. The lack of OIS definitely impacted the pictures and video recordings. There wasn't even EIS support when shooting at this resolution, so all of my 4K videos were really shaky. The secondary lens also has a smaller f2.6 aperture size, and since it couldn't pull in enough light while taking shots at night, it automatically switched to the main camera and used digital zoom instead. It also won't let you use the portrait camera when there isn't enough light. So yes, the addition of a dual rear camera is nice to have, but if you want a solid shooter that will produce good pictures or videos in whatever situation you may be in, the Galaxy S8 is the better choice. Switching to the battery, I found both phones to easily last the entire day. Obviously, your results may vary, but personally, I am a heavy user with tons of toggles enabled at all times, such as Wi-Fi or data, Bluetooth, location, and tons of apps and features running in the background, plus music and video playback. The Galaxy S8 has a smaller capacity at 3000 mAh, while the OnePlus 5 has 3300. For having way more pixels, a heavier UI, and the processor that is going along with it, the Galaxy S8 does bring in some pretty impressive results, but battery definitely benefits with a smaller 1080p screen, so I did notice a bit more battery life on the OnePlus 5, but not by a lot. Both phones do have a USB Type-C port with some sort of quick charging method. Dash charge is still faster than the S8's Quick Charge 2.0, but the S8 does include wireless charging, so both phones have their benefits. Other things to note is that both phones have a headphone jack, Bluetooth 5.0, NFC, and have a Gorilla Glass 5 display. The S8 has a bit more extra features such as water resistant with an IP68 rating, iris scanning, facial recognition, expandable storage, wireless charging, a heart rate monitor, and supports all 4 major US carriers, while the OnePlus 5 does not work on Sprint or Verizon. The OnePlus 5 has the benefit of better modifications such as rooting and better ROM support, frequent software updates, as well as a smaller price tag. Which brings me to my last point, pricing. For a starting price of $750, you can get an unlocked Galaxy S8, which is an extra $270 from the starting price of the OnePlus 5, $479. It is a huge difference, but considering you're getting a way better design, display, camera, and extra features such as water resistance, expandable storage, and more, the extra cash for the S8 does seem reasonable. The OnePlus 5 did cut corners to bring in that fairly inexpensive price tag, but it still did impressively well against this huge manufacturer. It has the best fingerprint sensor, better performance, software, battery, faster charging, and extra benefits such as better developer support for rooting or flashing ROMs, and frequent software updates. It's not the perfect phone, but it's a really good one. I've always been a fan of what OnePlus has brought to the table, especially with the OnePlus 3T. It was my main driver in 2016, even over the Google Pixel, but this year, with another bump in price, I was expecting a little more from OnePlus, such as water resistance or even a higher resolution display. You do get way better value for the price, but for me, the Galaxy S8 is the winner here, only because Samsung has brought features that most of us were expecting in a 2017 flagship, and delivers way more hardware and software features than the OnePlus 5 with a price tag that is not as big of a difference. Well, that's it for this video. Let me know in the comments which phone you enjoy more. Again, make sure to check out some Dbrand skins in the description, and also check out AndroidPolice.com for some great Android news. I'll see you guys in the next one.